Hello everybody, welcome back to the shop for video number 2 of the day. First video, haven't uploaded it yet. By the time you see this one, it should have been already up, surprisingly. Anyways, first video, pop wing molds, or wing molds. Pop the wings out of the mold, whatever you want to call it. And 2 pounds, 3 ounces roughly. Actually, exactly for each wing panel. They were bam on. I mean, within a couple of tenths of an ounce of each other. So, very nice wings. These are much better than that prototype wing at 3 pounds. So, got both of these out. This one ripped a little bit down here at the tip because for whatever reason the carbon toe didn't join up very well down there. So I got to fix that a little bit, but other than that, this one's perfect. The other wing's perfect. And they're really ready to go on the, well, once I get the slats and all that stuff and radio gear installed and hatches cut out, they're ready to get painted. So, you can see I got the flap out here. It is in place and hung, we will say. When you first pull these out of the mold, the trailing edge down here on the bottom is a little oversized. It's actually a little long by about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. So you've got a piece of material about that wide that you trim off. Why did I do that? I don't know, I just did, and it worked out pretty good, actually. So anyway, you got that little bit of material that you have to trim off. It goes right here at this trailing edge, and you sand a nice, flat, straight edge. And take your flap, put it in position under your hinge standoffs that are pre-installed. You gotta love that word, pre-installed. That means costs more money, makes less work. But yes, I know. It's more money, less work. Sounds good to me. Less work for me, more money for them. Actually, it doesn't, it's not even gonna add that much extra. It's a minute amount of extra labor to pre-install those things. So anyways, pre-installed, slide your flap under there, get your gap set correctly here at the tip, and you just mark with a little Sharpie the gap for your standoffs to go. This flap actually pre-marked where the hinges were gonna go and boogered it up pretty good. So there's some extra holes and larger holes than what I would have liked compared to the right side. The right side's much nicer than the left. You can see here's the right side and how the standoffs just fit real nicely in those little grooves. And you also see how the gap is very uniform between the bottom skin and the top skin, or the bottom skin and the flap skin. Same way here, nice uniform gap. You got all your little surface details there. And then again on the top, the gap is nice and uniform. You can see it's got a little notch there for the curvature of the leading edge of the flap. You're probably wondering why that flap is so blunt and not nice and airfoil shaped. Because the real one's like that. The real one is really thick at this wing, and the only way you could get a real nice airfoil shape was if the flap went way up into this area. So what they actually did, the Grumman engineers, which is kind of ingenious, is on the top leading edge of these flaps, they had what I believe they called an eyebrow door. And as the flaps went down, the whole top leading edge of this flap actually hinged itself in, so it gave you that nice airfoil shape the whole way down the flap, and it kind of did that to make the flap uniform. And they also had these little, I don't know if you'll be able to see them, if I get the light just right. You can see that little panel line right there just in front of the trailing edge of the wing, not the flap. It's this little one right here. My finger's on it, I mean, you just barely see it. Anyways, on the real one, these were doors that were hinged, and as a flap dropped down, these doors would go up and they would mate with the top wing skin or the spoiler or the bottom of the spoilers, and it would create a slot for airflow to come from the bottom of the wing up over the top of the flap and accelerate so you got more lift. So these are kind of like Fowler flaps, but without the complexity of a Fowler flap hinge. Which brings us to, why did I do these standoffs? These little doors down here, they're going to be functional. Not this wing, but eventually. Hell, you never know, I might even get brave and do it on this wing after I've flown it a couple of times. So, for those curious about flap deflections, this is basically it flaps up. Check this out. Bring it down. Yeah, that's right, you got about 100 degrees of flap deflection. You're not gonna need that much, but you can get it if you wanted it. So, and as you see, as the flap goes down, you got a little gap there. The whole trailing edge of the wing between the wing and the flap. So those little doors I was just talking about, how they folded up and mated with the top skin. Well, when they do that and this flap drops down 60 degrees or so, these doors are going to create a huge channel for air to just run through there. And it's going to create a ton of lift, fellas. So whenever I get this thing flying and I get those little doors working, it's going to be slow on landing. By the time you do the slats and you do the actual flaps with these slots, dude, this thing is going to be, it's going to be awesome. I'm really getting looking forward to it. So there we go, wings, flaps, hinged. I got both wings hinged. I got the bearings for everything. I've got to return my linear actuators. I'm getting a plug and play setup instead of the ones that require the separate box and then all that and the control board. They've just been too much of a pain in my butt, so I'm getting the plug and plays. Spoiler panels, I've shown y'all before, but we've never really had the opportunity to see just how well they fit. So let me pop the little hinges out of these things, and we'll see just how good my Suedo engineering and my CAD skills have worked out. Because honestly, like I said, these have never been fit to the wing with the spoilers or the flaps on. Matter of fact, they've never been fitted to a wing at all. So pay no attention to the little gaps between these things. I've got filler pieces for that. Just not going to glue them on just yet. But there you go, there's your spoiler panels. Torque rod will go here, 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 and here. And once it moves, it'll go boop, 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 and they'll sit there and flop up and down. So man, this thing is getting really fun. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna mark here on the top skin in the little slat recesses where that is, and what this is gonna do is I'm gonna know not to remove this particular area of the wing skin. And you're probably wondering, did he just say remove the wing skin? Yes, I said remove the wing skin. This area right here that I just covered up with all these spoiler panels, if you'll notice, very, very flimsy. This is just fiberglass. There's no carbon fiber, no core material, nothing. It's just fiberglass. I did this on purpose. All of this area is going to be cut open, and these little areas I just marked to where I'm not going to remove the material. I'm going to remove some of it, but I'm going to leave about a little 1/4 inch gap right here, 1/4 inch tab sticking off. And then those filler pieces I just mentioned out of G10 that I've got, they're going to get roughed up, and they're going to get probably 5-minute epoxy, maybe some CA or high sol. They're going to get glued to these little standoff tabs on this skin. That way, since this is really flimsy, these little filler pieces can sit there and flex up and down, because your flap servo control arms come out here and then they come out here, just like the real thing. So these, with them on this little flexible piece, they'll be allowed to move up and down as they need to without getting caught up and jammed on anything. So that's what I have done today. Shot the stuff in conversation with everybody, and spent the last 20 minutes hinging both of these flaps. So agenda, what's on the agenda? Well, I'm not going to take this thing to Florida Jets. I've decided that while I would love to show it off, I'm just not at a point to have enough time to do a good presentation. And I don't want to take something that's not up to the highest standards that I want this to be as a final product. And what I mean by that is, basically I don't want to take it there and have people look at it and be like, well, it's impressive, but it has a lot of all those surface imperfections on the fuselage. I don't want to have to be in the situation of telling people, it's like, well, the production ones aren't going to be like this. The production ones are going to be lighter. The production ones are going to be better. I don't want to be in that position to where I have to make promises and people be like, yeah, okay, sure they are. Because we've all heard the used car salesman speech. It's like, oh yeah, we'll fix it before we sell it. And does it get fixed? Maybe, if it's a good car lot and a good car salesman. Maybe not. I don't want to be that guy. I want to go out there with an airplane that looks exactly like what somebody's going to buy, so they can see exactly what they're going to get. I don't want them to look at something that's subpar and be like, wow, that's a lot of money for something subpar. There's no way I'm ever going to buy anything from that guy. Because yeah, it's a really long, in-depth process and a project, very expensive project. And if I put myself in their shoes, I don't want to be looking at something that's subpar, that's going to be thousands of dollars. So I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave it here at home, try and get my Bandit going. And if I don't get the Bandit going, I'll go up there and I'll hang out and talk to some buddies and be airplaneless for the weekend. I might do something like take one of these wing panels up there just to kind of show off for a little bit, but I'm not going to take the whole airplane. I'm definitely not going to take the fuselage. So if you're going to Florida Jets, don't expect to see too much, if anything. So don't get your hopes up. All right, let me give y'all some more motion sickness. And fuselage over here. Now this is kind of a sore subject with me. I know you guys think I'm crazy for complaining about it, but I'm still not happy with it. 19 pounds. I believe I saw somewhere that the Skymaster one, fuselage without the landing gear, is around 24, 25 pounds. So my fuselage is lighter than the Skymaster's, supposedly. I haven't seen the Skymaster in person, I haven't felt it, and I haven't seen the weight. I've only seen bits and pieces of what little information there is on the website, on the internet, whatever. So if it's 5 pounds lighter, kudos to me. If it's 5 pounds lighter, if mine's 5 pounds lighter without landing gear, whoop-de-doo, because by the time you put landing gear in this thing, you're talking about 5 to 8 pounds anyway. Probably more like 8-ish at least. So again, talking to Bruce and my buddy Chris that came over today, the thing's way overbuilt, guys. Hey, Bruce has never really, well, very few people in general on this side of the pond have heard of AirX, except for maybe the hardcore discus launch gliders and F-14D guys. And I think I'm maybe one of the few people here in the US that use this stuff on an airframe like this, if not the only guy. So, but because of that, I don't really have a whole lot of information to go by. I gotta go by what I've heard people overseas use it as and like their layup schedule. And because of that, I mean, it's a ton of, I mean, it's just, and when you can go over here with this part, I mean, you can squeeze with all your might, and it doesn't move, guys. It does not budge whatsoever. So let me zoom past my head over here at the nose cone, and watch. I mean, 2 fingers right here. I'm just gonna use 2 fingers. I'm just gonna push. You see how little that budges? I know y'all can't see much, but the size of the fuselage flex about 1/4 inch, and this is for a layup that's like 90 thousandths of an inch thick. It is an extremely strong layup and extremely overdone. So because of that, and not being happy with fuselage number 1, not saying I'm completely disappointed, but I'm not saying I'm extremely happy either. Anyway, because of that, I'm going to reduce the layup schedule, and I'm going to reduce a lot of the internal structure. I think I can shave probably 6 or 8 pounds off this fuselage. I think I can get it down to 10, 11 pounds, ready to put your stuff in. So if that's the case, even better. My 44-pound dry goal is it's obtainable with the right layup and the right structure. So since the party man has arrived, I'm gonna get up here, find us some dinner, and help him attack this vacuum cleaner hose snake. So until next time, that's the F-14, and we shall see you back here in the shop. Have a good one.